Hey guys, I'm back. Jeric with 8.6 Speed and Speed Industry here. You guys gave me a lot of love in the last video that I was in. Thought we'd come back and do a few more. We're doing a whole series about people's cars here at the shop, starting with mine. We just did a short one on our social media, just like a general walk around in my car, and thought we could probably go a bit further down and do a series about all the intricate parts of the car as a build and my experiences with it as a daily driver slash track car slash do it all sort of thing. So we're here today with my car on the lift, starting with chassis and suspension, or as much of it as I can remember. A quick little rundown on the life of the car. I've had it since about last December when I bought it off of our salesman, Alex. And since then, I have put about between 19 to 20,000 miles on it in the last year alone. And that's been spent mostly over maybe 3 or 4 road trips and about 4 track days, including a full 2-day track weekend over at Spring Mountain. It's been to Arizona, Cali, Reno, all over the place on the west. And now it's just here as my commuter to and from the office now that I'm back. We're gonna start here with the front, just because it's probably the quickest and easiest to get through it here. What we got under the car is MCS one-way, non-remote reservoir coilovers with Vorschlag camber plates up top. It was running about 3.2 degrees of camber when Alex had it set up. What it's at right now, no idea. I went 4 wheels off the racetrack and screwed up the whole alignment a few weekends ago. So car still drives all right. What I want it to be at, well, we met a few track guys who do like real serious stuff, SCCA time trials, grid life and all that, and they say anywhere between 3.5 to 4 degrees of negative camber is actually pretty ideal for optimal lap time. So we'll see. Probably a little extreme for the street. Might want to do 3.5. See where I go from there. These coilovers are really good. I enjoy them for the street and the track. Surprisingly, even in their firmer damper setting, they're actually surprisingly compliant. You can take these over some pretty nasty speed bumps, tattered highways and potholes, and the suspension just soaks it all up. Then you take it to the track weekend and attack the curbs and the car remains perfectly stable, taking corners at full speed, taking apexes and curbing without much play or upsetting the chassis. These are a really good, well-damped, very responsive coilover. They do have, if you can see up there, Hyperco springs, which are an upgrade from NCS. They're kind of like Swift springs, which you can get on coilovers like BC, or even just the lowering spring standalone, which we sell here at 8.6 Speed. And what sets apart Hyperco, and I guess by extension Swift, is they use a very good material, helps maintain a firm spring rate. It also allows the spring wire to be thinner, so it allows for more stroke and therefore more wheel travel in your suspension, so you don't fully compress the spring all the way. You do have like a little bit more travel, which is great. The less you can lock up the spring or smash into your bump stops on road or track, the better. There is a helper spring. That little guy right up there beneath the mainspring, we have helper springs on the front and the back, which also help with compliance and wheel travel, which is always a good thing. All right, so now we're moving on here to the back. But before we go on, I just want to mention that all the parts that I have here, we're going to try to break it down in the description below with like links or whatever. Anything that we don't have, we do have comparable options that we would recommend in place of these parts if you weren't able to get them. For instance, the MCS coilovers right here, these would be comparable to like, say, KWV3, Olin's, Road and Track, Fortunato 510s, which we do sell on the site. So snag them up. And if Alex, when he was building this car, said if he couldn't get a hold of these, his original plan was actually Olin's Road and Tracks. And I believe whatever car he gets later down the line is going to get Olin's Road and Tracks. Higher quality materials, better dampening, better spring rates. They're more responsive, more durable. They're damper tuning, whatever they do with the fluids and the pistons inside, they're less prone to cavitation. So you're not gonna get air bubbles as the piston's moving around a lot under intense driving or under intense heat. Right here in the back, when Alex built this car, he did install these SPL toe links right here and these cool SPL skeletonized control arms, which offer a lot alignment adjustment, which is important for the back. I believe when you're running a really wide wheel and tire setup on these cars, whether for track or for show, the rear wheels are probably the ones that come into the most fitment issues. So these kind of work twofold in helping not only with handling and alignment and adjustability, but also just helping you being able to tuck the top of the wheel in more so you're not smashing into your fender or your liner or stuff like that. So far, this stuff has been pretty rock solid. If I were to build this car myself, I think I would have gone Cusco for no other reason other than just I like the color blue and JDM street cred. These have been pretty reliable on road and track. After Alex and I have tracked it for as long as we have over our combined ownership, they haven't faltered once. You're looking at SPLs, I would recommend these. SPL or Cusco, we sell both on the site. Pick whichever one, paint it whatever color you want as long as you got that adjustability. If you guys like, we do sell a variety of sway bars on the site, Cusco, Eibach, I believe Kazama Auto and all that, but this car is actually running stock sway bars, which is actually what a lot of the track guys do, simply because out on the road course, it's not so much as a necessity. All of our adjustability in the way the car behaves, the way the car feels, the handling balance between understeer and oversteer, we can kind of get that through suspension and alignment alone. So a sway bar could help, but me personally, my preference, I actually like a soft suspension setup, and I do like a little bit of lean. It helps with gauging chassis feel and whatnot, and being able to feel a bit when you're on the limits. I guess we should round out our chassis and suspension setup with wheels and tires, because this also helps you turn, handle, and stop. I got these Advan RZ2s in indigo blue from here at 8.6 speed. These are 18 by 9.5 plus 45, I believe. These should be the only indigo blue ones on the site, plus 45 offset, wrapped in a 255 wide Advan Neova 8009 tire. I love these wheels for obvious reasons. The blue just looks good on the white. And if you don't love blue on white, well, you're wrong. And the Advan tires, I wanted something that gripped well, handled well on track and in the canyons, but also lasted really long. And these were pitched as a 200 treadwear endurance tire, and probably one of the most streetable tires in the class that Yokohama makes. So it does really well on the street. It does really well, surprisingly, in the rain. I was caught in a lot of rainstorms coming back from a trip in Utah with these, and these tires never skipped a beat. They handle pretty well on track, pretty progressive and easygoing once you hit that limit of traction. The big con is it is a 200 treadwear endurance tire, not a super 200 treadwear tire, so it's not going to be as grippy as something like the Advan AL52 or the Falcon RT660. Those are a lot more extreme tires. So this is a good middle ground tire, and it fits my purpose for the car pretty well. Maybe one day I'll get a stickier tire, or maybe one day I'll get an actual dedicated, just regular street tire. But for now, I love these Neovas, and I love these wheels. Behind them right here, mostly stock braking hardware, aside from these CSG compound pads, which Alex put on himself. And when these eventually expire, which will probably be a while because they're a very long lasting pad, I'm curious to see how EBC's new track pads perform. We do sell both lineups, EBC track pads, on the site. The RP1 and the RPX, do not quote me on this, but one of them is supposed to be the harder biting version, and the other one's supposed to be the easier, more progressive version. Both offer the same performance and heat thresholds. They're just tuned to deliver different brake pedal feels depending on personal preference. Ultimately, the dream would be either the EBC Apollo big brake kit, which you've seen before on our shop car, or the AP Racing SX big brake kits, which we also sell on our site and work really well for 8.6 BRZ. And unlike the EBCs, the APs can be had in both the front and rear kits. The EBCs only make a front kit for right now. Don't mean to bore you guys with probably one of the most boring parts of any car, just a black circle and the little clamp that sits behind it, but I'm a big advocate for believing brakes and tires are probably the most important thing for any performance-oriented car, or even just cars in general. You can't stop without proper grip, and you won't last very long on track without brakes that can withstand the heat. And even like the best street pads have a limit that's probably a lot lower than you think it is once you really start getting into like HPDE style driving or really intense canyon driving. So having a good set of brakes, a good set of tires, makes all the difference. Braking hardware, we sell a lot of. Hawk, EBC, DBA, Project Mu. Project Mus are a pretty good brand. I love to try the Type HC Plus hybrid pads, which we have a lot of here. It's a middle ground pad that has a pretty high heat threshold, almost comparable to a lot of track pads. I believe I read it's about 800 degrees Celsius, and yet it's tuned to still deliver decent on-road performance without being crazy noisy or crazy annoying when they're cold. So you could drive it on street and on track, and they do pretty well. HC Pluses are pretty good, like just that one step below actually getting the actual Project Mu race pads. As we were talking about with the front suspension, these do have Vorschlag camber plates on the top. These are a standalone piece. Alex had to get himself, only because the MCS coilovers, when you order them, they're very personalizable. You can piece them together down from your top hats to the spring rates to the actual valving inside the shock to your own application. Of course, you don't have to go that extreme. You can buy coilovers that just have fully adjustable camber plates right from the get-go, like HKS Hypermax S, Hypermax R, which is the coilover that I wanted to try if I was building a car from scratch. Fortunato 500 or 510s. Most of the Cusco coilovers should have adjustable camber plates from the get-go. These ones are from Vorschlag. They're specific to, it says right there, Subaru 86. Got the knob for the MCS coilover damper adjustments. They are 18-way adjustable. They are rebound and compression tied together as one. If I wanted rebound and compression separately, I'd have to step up to the next coilover, but that's fine because I don't know what I'm doing well enough to have that much adjustability in my hands. So I'd probably end up ruining my own car. So just rebound and compression together as one. It does the job for all the track work that I needed to. And Cusco carbon fiber strut tower brace, nice little piece on top. It works with the OEM strut tower braces that are right here. It just bolts right on top. Right here you can see the effects of the MCS coilover suspension. It does afford a lot of wheel travel. I wasn't joking. I don't believe I've seen any of my other friends' coilovers have this much sag when you put it up on a lift, but there it is. Pays dividends in ride quality and also stability on track to have just that much level of travel. Almost like a rally car, sort of. If only I could have that much lift from the get-go. That is all the suspension and chassis stuff that I can think of off the top of my head for this BRZ of mine. I covered it to the absolute best of my ability because remember, this was Alex's car before, and a lot of it was Alex's ideas that he had put in place, and I'm just sort of its new caretaker now. So here it is. Speed Industries, then Alex's, then my 2022 Subaru BRZ.